Hello, YouTubers. Alaska Prepper here. I just got done taking a look at the chats from the live stream that we had, and I saw a question on there that I've been asked before, but I thought I'd revisit it with you. That way, our new subscribers can have an idea of why it is that I think that having precious metals like silver as part of your preps, it being a good idea. So the question was, how can you use silver during an SHTF? All right, so let me go ahead and start from the beginning before I specifically answer that question. So first of all, I think that with the preparedness mindset, that precious metals is not even close to the top as far as having preps. I believe that having a full pantry with a minimum of about a year's worth of food that you eat is the most important thing. Of course, water is included in that. In addition to that, we have to have those things prepped that will sustain our biological needs. So food, water, shelter, warmth, right? Electricity, fuel, things like that. If you are on prescription medications, you need to have all of those things prepped, in my opinion, before you consider starting to stack silver and or gold. All right, because you need to live in order to be able to use your silver and gold. Now, how can silver and or gold be used during an SHTF? Well, first of all, let me start by saying that I am not a proponent, or I do not advocate that you store or that you have gold and silver for an SHTF. What you need to have for an SHTF are those things that are going to get you through the crisis, are those things that are going to get you from point A to point B. That way you can make it through. Because it is true that people say silver, you cannot eat it, right? You can't eat silver. Or you can, but it's not going to provide you any nutritional benefits, right? So you need to have those things first. That's going to see you through the crisis. There are some instances where you can use silver and gold during an SHTF. However, how likely is it that if, for example, we're having a major food crisis, right? No food, food shortage everywhere. What is the likelihood that you can take your 1 ounce of silver and go trade it to someone for their food? The likelihood is that the people that have the food are not going to trade their food for silver, because in the middle of an SHTF, food is a lot more important than silver. It has more value than silver and or gold. So in my opinion, storing silver or gold or any kind of precious metals to get through an SHTF is not the right answer. The right answer was what I've already gone through, having the preps that you need to make it through the crisis. Now, there are some countries that I can point to that have used and are still using gold and or silver, and that are, in my opinion, going through an SHTF right now. For example, if you look at the collapse of the financial system in Zimbabwe, I forget exactly what year it was. I think it was maybe in the early 2000s, something like that. But you can look it up. Look it up, and you should be able to find it by looking for like Zimbabwe financial collapse or something like that. Now, during that time, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing that shops were taking as money for like grain and for food was gold. So I saw a documentary where people were literally digging up their backyards to mine 1/10 of a gram of gold per day, which is the equivalent of about $5 worth of gold. And they worked all day digging up their yard and actually panning for gold. And they would find about 1/10 of a gram a day for a day's worth of labor. And they would take that 1/10 of a gram, they would bring it to a store, and they would get about a pound of grain for it. Right? That is an actual live example of how people have used gold during an SHTF. Because believe me, during Zimbabwe's financial collapse, where every Zimbabwean was a millionaire / trillionaire, they couldn't trade their dollars or their bills for food because they were absolutely worthless. They maybe set $1 trillion on them, but they could buy you nothing. All right, so they were actually buying food with gold that they mined out of their backyard. That's one example. We can say that Venezuela is still in the middle of an SHTF, Right now in Venezuela, 1 ounce of silver will provide a family of 4 with about 5 days of sustenance. What do I mean by 5 days of sustenance? It can provide a family of 4 3 square meals a day for 5 days for 1 ounce of silver. So those people that were stacking silver back in 2012, when silver was about 250 bolivars per ounce, and they stacked that silver and they brought it forward to the future with them, where now silver is over 3 million bolivars an ounce, they can eat while others are digging in the garbage to try to find food. In addition to that, there are parts of Venezuela that have plenty of food. I've stated this a couple of times in previous videos where I saw a young blogger from Venezuela going into a Venezuelan supermarket, and the supermarket was completely full of food. I mean, they had everything you can think of. It was very well stocked, but there was almost no one there. And why is that? Because the average people could not afford to shop there. Now think if most people would have maybe thought about purchasing an ounce of silver a month during the good times when Venezuela was still prosperous and kept that silver until they needed it in the bad times. Those supermarkets right now today would have more people in them than they do, because silver and gold are a way of protecting your purchasing power and being able to bring that purchasing power up into the future. All right. So, for example, if today 1 ounce of silver can buy me 10 loaves of bread, in 10 years, it doesn't matter how much 10 loaves of bread cost. 1 ounce of silver will still be able to buy me 10 loaves of bread. All right. So, in my opinion, silver is not for SHTF. Silver and gold are so that you can take your excess wealth. And what I mean by excess wealth, it's wealth that you don't need. Wealth that you have extra of after having your preps, after paying your bills. I like to say that when you get paid every month or every 2 weeks, you should always pay yourself first. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you get paid, you should pay all your bills, cover all of your living expenses, and whatever's left over, you should take a portion of that and convert it into precious metals. Because this way, you are ensuring that in the future, you will have the same purchasing power that you had in the day that you purchased those precious metals. Again, saying that 10 years from now, whatever 1 ounce of silver buys me today, it will buy me 10 years from now. I've used this example several times. In 1964, 1 silver quarter in the United States that was configured of 90% silver would purchase you about 1 gallon of gas in the U.S. Okay, so in 1964, the average price for a gallon of gas, now the prices were different in different parts of the country, but when you averaged them together, the average price was about 24 cents. So let's say that in 1964, the average price of gasoline was 25 cents, 1 quarter. If you take a quarter today that was minted in 1964, which was 90% silver, and take it to a coin shop, you're going to get at least $4 for that silver quarter, for that 1964 quarter. And ask yourselves now, can $4 purchase you a gallon of gasoline today? Depending on where you live. Some places, gasoline is high. Like in Nevada, gasoline is over $4 a gallon. I'm sure that it's as well in California, over $4 a gallon. Here in Alaska, gasoline is $3.32 or something like that. So when you take the average of what gasoline costs nationwide, it's probably just under $4. And guess what you can get for just under $4? 1 gallon of gas, right? And guess what you can get for that 1 quarter that was minted in 1964? $4 and change. So that quarter that was minted in 1964 that had 90% pure silver in it, bringing it forward almost 60 years later, is the same value that it was back then, meaning that it can get you the same stuff that it could get you back then. That is, in my opinion, what silver and gold are for. It's not so that you can necessarily use it during an SHTF, but that after the SHTF is over, you have some wealth that you can start with all over. Consider this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say that you have all of your money into preps, right? And that you never store anything as far as precious metals go. So you have all your money into preps, and then you have all your money in cash. All your excess wealth is in cash. Now consider if the same thing that happened in Venezuela happens here, where 1 ounce of silver goes from 250 bolivars to 3 million bolivars. Imagine we had that same kind of hyperinflation here. Same thing like what happened in Weimar, Germany, right? Where hyperinflation just skyrocketed. Those dollar bills that you have put aside for savings, all they're doing is losing value day after day after day after day. Now, if you take some of your savings and convert it into precious metals, those precious metals are going to retain their value long term. When I say retain their value long term, I don't mean from day to day. It's going to be volatile, up and down from day to day. Just like you've seen silver last week go down $2 and then up 50 cents and then down $1 and then up $1.50. Not like that. I'm talking about long term. I'm talking about macro level long term. That is the best way to preserve your wealth, is in long term. So silver and gold, in my opinion, no good for SHTF. Silver and gold, in my opinion, the perfect tool or the perfect vehicle to secure your purchasing power and bring it into the future with you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's finish it off with this. Let's go ahead and do a hypothetical. Let's say that you have a great-grandfather that lived through the Great Depression. And in 1930 or so, he decided to leave his great-grandson or great-granddaughter 1 ounce of gold and a $20 bill. Back then, 1 ounce of gold was valued at $20.67, so it's pretty close to a $20 bill. So he put this 1 ounce of gold and this one $20 bill in a coffee can, and he sealed it. And he buried it in the backyard. And he gave instructions to his children to pass it on to their children, and then for your mother to pass it on to you to go ahead and dig up that coffee can with the $20 bill and the 1 ounce of gold. Okay, so you dug it up and you open it. And you take out that $20 bill and you take out that 1 ounce of gold. Which one of those would you be more excited about? The $20 paper bill or the $20 ounce of gold? You just answered your own question, why it is that you should stock gold and silver. Because it retains its value. Whereas gold back in 1930 could buy you $20.67 worth of goods. That $20.67 worth of goods from 1930 to today translates to about $1,700 or $1,800 worth of goods today. That $20 bill that he left you back then, if you took that and brought it to the future today, can only get you $20 of what you can get today. Nothing close to $1,700, $1,800 that the gold can get you. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why I am an advocate of preserving your excess wealth and precious metals. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, okay? You have to do your own research. But if you take a look at what I've told you during this short video, then you'll understand that precious metals is to preserve wealth, not to get you through an SHTF. Food, water, shelter, medicine, protection, warmth, fuel, all of those things are needed to get through a crisis. Precious metals, you're definitely going to need it after a crisis. That way you can land on your feet and not be struggling to stay on that first rung of the ladder after you've gone through a big crisis. You want to be able to land on your feet after that crisis instead of just being able to hang on to that first rung of the ladder, just struggling to get by. All right, I hope I answered your question. Sorry that I missed it like 10 times during the live stream, but it was a great question, and I thought that I would go ahead and do this short video to get it out to you. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. All right, it's about 9 o'clock at night right now. This is what it looks like around 9 o'clock at night in Alaska in the middle of June. All right, so you see how nice and daylight it is outside. It's not necessarily sunny, but obviously you can see how nice it is outside where it's pretty much just daylight out. All right, having said that, remember to be good to each other. Thank you very much for all of you that came and joined in on the live stream on Monday. I had a great time, truly did. All right, so I hope you had a good time too. I hope you all have a great week ahead. So remember to be good to each other, ladies and gentlemen. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper, and I'm out. God bless you all.